Simon the Sorcerer Origins is a point-and-click adventure game and serves as a prequel to the first Simon the Sorcerer game, which was released on the PC and Amiga back in 1993. This time around, Simon gets teleported to a fantasy world and is sent off on an adventure to find the magical tomes of the first wizard. Along the way, he breaks, fixes, and comments on a variety of fantasy tropes, from frozen magical libraries to troll guards. It harkens back to the times of Dennis the Menace and Horrid Henry, back to a time when a child was naughty and sarcastic simply because that was the archetype they've been given, for no deeper reason. This simple view on life and morality pervades this 90s-style point-and-click adventure game, except for, of course, when it comes to the puzzles.
Puzzles upon puzzles.
Let's get straight to the point. If you like point-and-click puzzles with sometimes clever, sometimes obtuse answers, and most importantly, only one way to solve them, you'll like Simon the Sorcerer Origins. If you prefer more open-ended puzzles where logic plays a big part and the developers try to think of every eventuality that you might choose to test, a la Cyberpunk 2077, Baldur's Gate 3, or Breath of the Wild, you'll be disappointed. This is the big decision you'll have as to whether you want to purchase this game, as it sticks squarely and sometimes admirably to its lane. There are no hints, there are puzzles which you can't complete during one level because the game doesn't want you to at that point, but won't tell you that until you unlock the secret later on in the game. And my biggest gripe, there are plenty of interactable objects which are just flavor text, and the game doesn't differentiate between these and objects which just require an item you'll get later on. The best approach is, if Simon says, that won't work, or best not touch that, then you need to presume he's lying and always think, but what if this works in this situation? This also applies to keys and anything you'd use to unlock a door. A stick might not unlock one door, but it will unlock another, because reasons. That's why.
Art style spectacular.
The game also harkens back to the times of LucasArts point-and-click adventures with its gorgeous hand-drawn art style. Smallthing Studios obviously took great pride in moving Simon the Sorcerer from a pixel art style to hand-drawn animation, with some gorgeous colors and facial expressions, as well as a lot of detail in the environments crafted. I especially like Mundus, a new character for the series, who looks like any old creepy shopkeeper until you realize that he's actually a life-sized puppet. In fact, the creature controlling him is perched on his shoulder, and the entire experience gave me both a smile and a grimace of fear.
Can you hear the voices?
This is helped by the fact that the voice acting is all rather excellent. Alongside Chris Barrie of Red Dwarf fame, who has returned to the franchise from the first game, everyone else gives it their all for all their characters. Again, you can feel the love coming across. I never felt the need to read the text and skip the voice acting, as sometimes happens. The exception were several repeated lines of dialogue that started to creep into the game. Skipping does become a necessary option quite quickly for these, so it's nice that you have the option to click through. The fact that you can add further filters to make the game seem more like it's playing on a CRT TV is a great touch as well in the presentation department, adding to the level of care that's on display in Simon the Sorcerer Origins.
I heard you like breaking walls, but only the fourth one.
Much like in the first game, Simon loves to break the fourth wall and parody other fantasy texts, be it the one hovering to rule them all, or the fact that he says he needs to talk to the level designer. If you love a fourth wall break as much as I do, you'll get plenty of chuckles out of this game. My favorite is the fact that when you drop a pin on a location on the map, it dive bombs from the heavens to land in the world. As you progress, these objects get interacted with by other NPCs as well, just adding another small layer to the idea. Simon also takes issue with the amount of puzzles in the game, asking if it wouldn't be too much trouble to progress without an obstacle once in a while, and I've got to say, I agree. Some more variety in the puzzles would be appreciated, as there are a couple of times when they came very close to feeling like chores, which they shouldn't do. You'd pass through a particularly intricate fetch quest, get to the next room, and boom, the doors are locked, or the boats are broken, or there's another troll. I was close to burning out with some of it, so potentially some more open-ended sections or little mini-games to play to progress alongside the point-and-click puzzles would have been great to mix it up a bit. Simon loves to break the fourth wall and parody other fantasy texts. There's also the quite macabre approach to death that the game employs. Simon and other NPCs regularly comment on the fact that enemies seem to disappear or drown and don't come back, but never say anything outright, like they're trying to avoid the censors in a Nickelodeon animated show. Of course, this just makes it all the funnier, especially when even Simon is taken aback by certain things. I won't go into spoiler territory here, but the writing is consistently funny, if not especially groundbreaking.
Music be the food of love.
Finally, I've got to give a mention to the soundtrack. Again, you can feel the love pouring out of it, and the game even gives the composer, Mason Fisher, a special room in the game to try out some bigger sounds than the game would normally have. And there's Rick Astley in the game, too. Compared to my brain with some of the puzzles, at least he'll never give me up or let me down. Closing thoughts. Simon the Sorcerer Origins is a game which some will love and some will drop off of. However, in a time of re-releases with an extra episode of content tacked on to the end, it's nice to get a full-blown new game in an old franchise. I hope the game does well enough to get a sequel, prequel, pre-sequel, so that they can take some more risks with the puzzles and potentially add in some help for those of us who didn't grow up with these types of adventures.